Wow, I never got that kind of quiet reaction before. Good evening and welcome to the Township Committee meeting of May the 28th, 2019. Ms. Borick, will you please call the roll?
Committeewoman Holmes.
Here.
Committeeman Lapani.
Here.
Committeewoman McCauley. Here. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Here.
Mayor Delcourt.
Here.
Administrator Ferreira.
Here.
Attorney Willard is not present. Attorney Purcell is in his place.
Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be advised that in accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the Public Law of 1975, that notice of this meeting would take place at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex and it was made by the posting on the bulletin board at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex and notifying the officially designated newspapers that this meeting would take place at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex at 7:30 p.m. on May the 28th of 2019. First on our agenda is approval of minutes. We have the approval of the April 23rd, 2019 regular minutes. May I have a motion for those minutes, please?
So move, Mayor.
Second.
Any comments from the dais? Any comments from the floor? Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Holmes.
Yes.
Committeeman Lapani.
Yes.
Committeewoman McCauley.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Mayor Delcourt.
Abstain. We'll move to reports from committee liaisons. First up, Committeewoman McCauley.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. A quick update from the police department. The chief would like to remind residents and those who are parents, please never leave your child unattended in a car, not even for a minute. Always lock your car and secure it and make sure the keys are secure so your kids cannot get them. Warn your children about playing in and around vehicles. Left alone in a vehicle, of course, even for a short time, can put the child in danger. There can be abduction, injury, dehydration, or even possibly death. In the hot weather coming up, it is very critical that we want to remind you of that. If it's reported to the police, you will be referred to the Department of Child Protection and Permanency, and you may face criminal charges. So just a reminder, I know sometimes people run in and out and it's quick, but it could really cause some damage, so please be aware of that. Office of Emergency Management tonight wants to remind that June 1st does mark the beginning of hurricane season, and although it does not we're not overly susceptible here to direct paths of hurricanes, but the preparedness is always key. As we know, we have high water tables here in Hillsborough, and if there's water coming in, we certainly want to be prepared. You can visit the OEM website for tips to prepare for hurricane season. There's a lot of good information on there, so I recommend going onto the website to look at those tips. Please join Borough Pride tomorrow, Borough Pride at Hope for tomorrow, this Friday, May 31st, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Woods Road Firehouse, supporting and raising awareness for social, emotional, and mental health. It's a very well-attended meeting, and if you would like to attend, it is 6 to 8 tomorrow at Woods Road Firehouse. Thank you, Mayor. That's it for me this evening.
Thank you. Committeeman Lapani.
Thank you, Mayor. Bear with me, I got the long list today, so we'll try and get through it quickly. From the building department, summer is right around the corner, which means it's prime time to do work around the house. For those who, like myself, that's our weekend, the wife has a to-do list, so some of that work may require a permit. So it's best to stop by or call the building department so we can help you guide through with you all the needed permits and requirements. From the DPW department, the Public Works Department would like to remind everyone that the rainy weather has some of the basins and roadways mowing being scheduled in the recent upcoming weeks. Thank you for your patience, and we're close to catching up with these tasks. Public Works managers were out meeting with Branchburg Township DPW officials this past week regarding the upcoming high-performance chip seal road surface treatment program about to begin. Branchburg is having their program begin now, and it has been a help to have a good neighbor as they offer advice on how to make this program as successful as it can be. Preparations for Hillsborough's surface treatment program will begin within the next month. From the Finance Department, for all those residents who participated in our Shop Hillsborough program, thank you. The credits earned in the past 12 months will be posted to your tax account in June, and the tax bill received for August will reflect that reduction. From the Business Advocate, the HBA Business Social tickets are now on sale. Tickets are now on sale for the next HBA Business Social for July the 31st. It's a Tuesday at Roycebrook Golf Club from 6 to 9 p.m. The event will feature Matthew Gork, a memory trainer who has helped corporate executives from the numerous Fortune 500 companies improve their recall. Mr. Gork's talk will focus on techniques designed to improve retention and empower the mind. The price of admission is $20.50, which includes dinner. A cash bar will be available. Go to hillsboroughbusiness.org to purchase tickets. From the side, if you meet someone and forget their name 10 seconds later, like I do all the time, this could be a useful tool. Registration now open for Hillsborough Business Promotion Programs. Registration for Hillsborough Restaurant Tours is now open to participate in the second annual Hillsborough Restaurant Week beginning on Tuesday, August 20th, running through Sunday, August 25th. Go to hillsboroughbusiness.org to register. And this is a shout out to all the Hillsborough farmers in our community. Hillsborough Township has created Hillsborough Harvest, a campaign promoting the value of Hillsborough farms and local products. Participating farms will be featured on the Hillsborough Harvest page on hillsboroughbusiness.org, where they can advertise their local products and events for free. Please contact David Coyce, Business Advocate, Sustainability Director at 908-369-4313, extension 7106, or at David Coyce, that's D-K-O-I-S, at hillsborough-nj.org to participate. And from our clerk's office, just a reminder that June 4th is the primary election. Please refer to your sample ballots for polling locations, and they are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Just an ongoing reminder that June 15th is the Rotary Casino Night held at Roycebrook Country Club. See Friday e-News for details on how to register for that. And lastly, this is in light of Memorial Day, the Hillsborough Memorial VFW Post 8371. The Hillsborough Memorial VFW Post 8371 will be conducting ceremonies on Thursday, May 30th at 10 a.m. at the Municipal Complex Garden of Honor. The ceremonies are being held to commemorate Memorial Day and honor all those servicemen who have worn the uniform of our country and are no longer with us. And with that, I am done. Thank you, Mayor.
Committeewoman Holmes.
Thank you, Mayor. I recently had the opportunity to have a tour of the Adult Care Center in Bridgewater. The Adult Daycare Center is it's of Somerset County. It's a nonprofit agency committed to providing high-quality, affordable daycare services for disabled and elderly residents of Somerset County. Each year, many frail and disabled elderly are institutionalized prematurely or unnecessarily due to lack of affordable quality care in our communities. Visit the website at www.adultdaycarecenter.org to learn more about their programs and offerings. It's an absolutely beautiful building. I have some experience with adult daycare. When I was in my 30s, my father-in-law, who was only 66 at the time, had a devastating stroke and could no longer drive or work. And he came to live with us because it was either us or a nursing home, and he was so young. And I found the Adult Daycare Center, and I called up, and they had a long waiting list, but they found out my father-in-law played poker, and they needed a male poker player, so he got in the next day. They would come and they would pick him up at 9 in the morning, and they'd bring him home at 3. And it was essential, not just for him to feel the self-respect of having someplace to go, but for us as a young family to, not have to worry about him all day. So firsthand experience, this is a great, great center. And I just wanted to give a shout out to them and let everyone know that this is available to Hillsborough residents. Okay, the YMCA Hop and Green Living Wellness Fair. Just a reminder, this Saturday, June 1st, the Hillsborough YMCA will sponsor the 17th Hillsborough Hop 5K, which will kick off Healthy Hillsborough, a day to celebrate healthy living in the community. Once again, the race will begin at Hillsborough YMCA and end at the Hillsborough Municipal Building, where the Green Living Wellness Fair will take place. Don't miss out on this community event. In addition, Dr. Robert Illa-White of the Dermatology Center in Hillsborough will provide skin cancer screening from 8 to 11 a.m. during the fair. Skin cancer is the most common type of cancer, and early detection can lead to effective treatment. To register, please call the Health Department at 908-369-5652. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things from me. First, as announced at the last meeting by Mayor Delcor, the township partners with the school district in many initiatives. One such initiative is the Community Connections class at the high school and the Hillsborough Recreation Department. There are 2 events scheduled for this June, the first of which being the 2019 Field Day for HHS students. Field Day 2019 will offer a variety of games for students to participate in, such as home run derby, volleyball, spike ball, and much more. Field Day will be held on Tuesday, June 4th from 3:30 to 5:30 at Ann Vans Middleworth Park. The event is free to all current HHS students. The second event, which is scheduled for Saturday night, June 8th, will be a movie in the park featuring Despicable Me. Sign-in will take place from 7 to 8 for the movie, with the movie following shortly after the sun sets. The event is also scheduled to take place at Ann Vans and will cost $5 per person. The rain date for both events will be the following days, and pre-registration is required for both through Community Pass. Registration is currently open now. From our Social Services Department, there are 2 events. One is the Hillsborough's Got Talents performances. You can join us for an evening of fun as you vote for Hillsborough's most talented seniors. Free admission includes dinner, but you must register with Social Services Department prior to the event, sponsored in part with Foothill Acres Rehabilitation and Nursing Home. The second is a Christmas in July. You can take a break from the heat and join us as we celebrate a fun-filled day in the spirit of the holidays. Bridgeway Senior Healthcare will be hosting our first annual Christmas in July with lunch, games, and presents. Free admission, but again, you must register no later than July 8th in the Social Services Office. And last, as Committeewoman Holmes reported, the Green Living and Wellness Fair will be this Saturday. In addition, there is a logo contest for Sustainable Hillsborough being held. Contest details can be found on the Health Department's website and in the Hillsborough Township e-news that goes out every Friday. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. A couple items tonight. So last week, I had the opportunity to attend the grand opening of Alternative Inc., a new group home here in Hillsborough. They really do incredible work with providing group home living for some disabled adults. And I was joined at that by Committeewoman Holmes, our business advocate, David Coyce, Administrator Ferreira attended, along with Police Lieutenant McMahon. And we're also joined by Senator Bateman, Freeholder Director Brian Levine, and Deputy Director Pat Walsh. So right around the corner on New Amwell Road, and glad to see them get the home open. It was a nice living arrangement and made it very easy for a bunch of families here in town. Of course, this past weekend we had our Salute to the Veterans breakfast on Saturday, which was followed by the parade and our Garden of Honor ceremony. Always a very moving morning for us here on the Township Committee. The commemoration process that we go through for Memorial Day is one that's to hear from some of the veterans here in town about where they served and some of the people that they've served with that are no longer with us, as well as just seeing the parade route and the Garden of Honor ceremony lined with a number of children and residents here in town, and the town kind of rallying together to to commemorate Memorial Day about what it's really all about, to make sure that everyone recognizes the importance of those that gave their life in defense of our nation. So I'd like to thank all that came out to make that event possible, all volunteers, our employees, and I'd also like to thank once again Captain Tim Jordan, who served as our Grand Marshal this year, a local Hillsborough resident. He served as a firefighter as a career, but also still involved working at Picatinny. So thank you for Veteran Jordan for being our Grand Marshal, and thanks for another really spectacular effort to put together the breakfast and the parade and the Garden of Honor ceremony. It's always an honor for us to participate. Some of you may have noticed we've been given some updates that it was forthcoming, and there is a new traffic light at Auten and Triangle. We've had over the years a number of concerns regarding safety at that light, especially some visibility as you're making a left, usually off of Triangle, heading towards Auten Road School. So that light is now changed, where only left-hand turns from Triangle will be permitted on a green arrow. So we'll eliminate some of those left-hand turns with oncoming traffic where visibility is problematic. So please note that new traffic flow, and I'm sure it'll become relatively common as we get more used to it, but just want everyone to know that that's in place, and I think it does provide a significant safety measure for that intersection. Earlier this year, we talked about some of our road paving projects that were being started this year as a result of some bond financing that we had done last year. We are about to embark on some of the initial paving projects. First up, you'll start to see curbing replacements and ADA sidewalks and ramp upgrades. We'll first start on Raider Boulevard, then that will be further paved. The repaving of roads will start in the next few weeks, and the first roads that will be done will be Riverside Drive and Clawson Avenue, and then South Triangle Road, which is another road that we'll be completing this year, will be done during the summer months after school is complete, so we don't have school traffic coming through. So the paving projects are underway. We do have a number. I believe there's 9 roads that we're going to get done as part of the process this year. So more to come there, but just want to give everyone an update that you'll start to see some of that paving work get done, and we're glad that we can get some of those roads upgraded. A couple of items coming up that I just want to make sure everyone keeps the mind on the calendar about. First up is our Independence Day fireworks and music festival. We're combining those two events this year. That'll be on June the 29th. That's a Saturday. E-News will have all the details over the next couple weeks, but it's always a tremendous community event that we do here. The fireworks are usually pretty spectacular, and we'll also have the music festival combined with that this year. So during the course of the afternoon, as people come out to the Auten Road School, there'll be some vendors out there, but also some music from a number of local performers and bands to help pass some time out in the park there while we're waiting for night time to come and the fireworks to start. So looking forward to that. Hope you can all join us. And again, more details in the e-news forthcoming. In addition, we'll have a community night at the Somerset Patriots. That's going to be July the 13th. That'll be Hillsborough Community Night, and more details to come on that, but we'll be offering tickets available through the Township website. Anyone that would like to join us for Hillsborough recognition that evening, come on out for Somerset Patriots, a little baseball, and recognizing some of the work done here in our Hillsborough community. All that information is available. You can stay connected through a number of different channels. We have our Friday e-newsletter, which will outline all the community events that I just outlined, as well as our Twitter feed. We also have TV 29 and Hillsborough YouTube channel, which showcases our meetings, but also the Hillsborough The Good Life episodes. You may have seen earlier, we showed some of the highlights from our breakfasts this past weekend with the veterans, with some of the the Hillsborough High School chorale performing. That's available out there on the YouTube channel. And there's also Hillsborough alerts for traffic and emergency notifications. So all those different channels, stay in touch and make sure you know what's going on here in town. With that, we're going to move on to our proclamations this evening. We ask that after you receive your proclamations, I will call you up individually by groups. We'll ask you to please return to your seat, and we will pause after all of the recognitions are complete to give everyone a chance for an orderly dismissal, I'll say. You're welcome to stay, but we'll give you a chance to leave after everyone. We want to make sure everyone gets a chance to be recognized, and we don't have disruptions, people leaving as we're trying to give people awards. So first up, our first proclamation tonight, can I call up Olivia Klapchich and Annalise Meyer for a Safe and Sound collection? Olivia Klapchich and Annalise Meyer are members of Girl Scout Troop 60249 and third graders at Hillsborough Elementary School. Olivia and Annalise, through their Girl Scout troop, learned about Safe and Sound, an organization that provides housing, counseling, advocacy, prevention, and awareness to women and children seeking confidential refuge from unsafe living conditions, and they donated supplies. They then created their own slideshow presentation and delivered it to Hillsborough Elementary School, requesting a school-wide collection. The Hillsborough Township Committee recognizes and extends our sincere appreciation to Olivia and Annalise for having gone out voluntarily to collect donations for Safe and Sound, and we wish them for all the best in their future endeavors. Would you guys like to say anything? Well, we want to thank you very much because in the third grade, for you to go out and raise money for a great organization like Safe and Sound that provides support to so many women and families is really, really a great effort on your part. And we thank you very much for doing that. And I know Safe and Sound is very thankful and appreciative of all you did. So congratulations on a great effort. Okay, do we have the Junior Raiders field hockey team?
This side too.
This side works too. Okay. Whereas the 2018 Hillsborough Junior Raiders Field Hockey Junior Sticks Gold Team, that's a mouthful of a name, had a very successful season due to their hard work and dedication. And whereas the 2018 Hillsborough Junior Raiders Field Hockey Junior Sticks Gold Team achieved a 7-0-0 record in the season, won first place in the New Jersey-Pennsylvania tournament after competing in the round-robin competition. And whereas the 2018 Hillsborough Junior Raiders Field Hockey Junior Sticks Gold Team consisted of the following young athletes. I'm going to ask you guys to say your own.
I'm Carrie Lyden, Jesse Timler,
Addison Harkin,
Juan Citarella, Hannah Bianchino. I'm Maggie Harding. I'm Kira Kruchovi. I'm Victoria Byra. I'm Carolina Matejczyk.
I'm Shannon Rice. I'm Brooklyn Citarella.
Danielle Citarella.
Ainsley Harkin.
And Jennifer Harding.
Now therefore be it proclaimed that we, the mayor and the Hillsborough Township Committee, do hereby commend the Hillsborough Junior Raiders Field Hockey Junior Sticks Gold Team, the coaches and parents, not only for their successful season, but for their hard work, dedication, and commitment to the sport, and to those principles of good sportsmanship, teamwork, and academic achievement which the organization endorses. Be it further proclaimed that we, the mayor and the Hillsborough Township Committee, further commend the Hillsborough Junior Raiders Field Hockey Junior Sticks Gold Team, I think I got it down now, for the honor they have brought to themselves, their organization, and our community. Girls, congratulations on a great season, and thank you for representing the Junior Raiders in Hillsborough.
We would like to take this opportunity to thank the mayor and the town council for inviting us here tonight. It was a privilege and an honor to represent Hillsborough Junior Raiders in the NJPA Field Hockey League this season. We finished the season undefeated, and we also won the NGPA championship. And we're really proud that we finally put Hillsborough on the grid for winning the field hockey championship. Thank you again.
Somebody might have to go in front, maybe take a knee, and we'll take a whole team picture. You guys decide.
They can't see.
That way. Okay, now look that way.
So on a count of three, you're going to say, Hillsborough, good life. Okay? All right, ready?
Hillsborough, the good life.
You guys can one more. There's some enthusiasm. We know you've heard you yell before.
So excited. Like you're on the field, girls.
Hillsborough, the good life.
I saw your brother yesterday.
Okay, can I have the Hillsborough High School Science Olympiad team? Come on up.
They're all tall. You gotta be 6 foot to be in this club.
On this side, come on, you guys. Let's even it out a little bit. Okay, whereas the 2018-2019 Hillsborough High School Science Olympiad team also had a very successful season due to their hard work and dedication. And whereas the 2018-2019 Science Olympiad team is a STEM-based competition focused on build events and study events held across the country. The team placed 4th at the Harvard International Competition, 10th at both the Cornell University and Princeton University Science Olympiad Invitationals, 3rd at the regional competition at NJIT, and 7th overall at the New Jersey State competition at Middlesex County College. And whereas the 2018-2019 Hillsborough High School Science Olympiad consisted of the following students.
I'm Shibi Balamarugan. I'm Rajesh Chordia.
I'm Nipun Banerjee. I'm Rohan Singh.
I'm Jeffrey Jang.
Yash Parikh.
Christopher G.
Jared Handelman.
Frank Delcor.
Alan G.
Rishikesh Nair.
Samir Tripathi.
Grace Sang.
Min Dang.
Now therefore be proclaimed that we, the mayor and the Hillsborough Township Committee, do hereby commend the Hillsborough High School Science Olympiad team not only for their successful season, the best in recent years, but for their hard work, dedication, and commitment to the field of science and to those principles of good sportsmanship, teamwork, and academic achievement which the Science Olympiad endorses. Be it further proclaimed that we, the mayor and the Hillsborough Township Committee, further commend the Hillsborough High School Science Olympiad team for the honor they have brought to themselves, their team, and our community. Congratulations, team. Well done.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rohan Singh once again. I've been the captain of the Hillsborough Science Olympiad team for the past 2 years. I'd like to say thank you to the Hillsborough Township Committee for granting us this award, and our advisor, Mr. Dang, for all the hard work and commitment that he's put in over the past year to make this season incredible. And to my peers and teammates, thank you so much for all the experiences, whether it be screaming Hillsborough at the top of our lungs when someone goes up and gets an award, or the 3 a.m. Walmart runs that we had to make to get last-minute parts. It's all been amazing. And thank you once again to the Hillsborough Township Committee, and I hope the best for the Hillsborough team in the following years.
All right, once you guys kind of pull forward too, we'll take a team shot.
Turn sideways.
From the bench over.
Sideways and squeeze. It's not my first rodeo.
Okay, you know the drill, guys. Rohan said you guys can yell, so
We gotta send notes out.
Okay, is Jeff Wyatt here? Oh, he is? Jeff Wyatt, a Hillsborough resident, participated and successfully completed the Hokahay Motorcycle Challenge for 2018 for Jar of Hope Team Jamesy in July 2018. Jar of Hope was founded in 2018 by James Raffone in honor of his son Jamesy and is devoted to eliminating the MS disease by bringing awareness and raising funds for ongoing research. The Hokahay Challenge tests the physical endurance and mental fortitude of motorcycle riders in a 10-day cross-country ride without the use of any electronic devices. Riders must sleep next to their motorcycles regardless of the weather. Jeff rode 10,453 miles in 11 and a half days, finished fifth out of 113 riders, and raised $28,750 for Jar of Hope. The Hillsborough Township Committee recognizes and commends Jeff for the honor he has brought to himself, Jar of Hope, and our community. Jeff, that's tremendous. Thank you very much for that. And
I just want to thank everybody that supported me in a ride, especially the Norrises back there, and the township and the committee for going through all this and helping me promote the next ride, which is in July. Right here is the Race Against Time. Is a new ride. It's 48 states, and I'm going to attempt to do it in 8 days.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Councilmen and women, thank you very much for presenting Jeff with this honor. And it's really amazing to see how your town comes out to support one another. I'm from Manalapan, which is about 2 hours away from here, but I couldn't think of a better place to be tonight than to be standing next to the Wyatt family for all the deeds that Jeff has done as a role model to his own family, but as well as to Hillsborough residents. I was once one of you guys, a proud parent who had ambitions for my son. But as you just heard, unfortunately, September 13, 2013, my son at the tender age of 4 was diagnosed with a terminal muscle wasting disease that unfortunately after 200 years is still 100% fatal. So the extraordinary efforts of Mr. Wyatt and what he's done for my family and to fight this deadly disease is truly heroic and really deserves this honor, and it just scratches the surface of what kind of a human being that Jeff is and how you town folk came out to recognize Jeff. So thank you very much to you guys.
Cell phone central.
It took about 3 weeks to turn it up to make it where you get all this. Where you hit them all. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Jessica Smedley. Jessica Smedley, the Director of Guidance for Hillsborough Township Schools, has received the honor of being named as Somerset County School Counselor of the Year for 2019 by the Somerset County School Counselor Association. Ms. Smedley has been a member of the Hillsborough School District faculty since 2016. She has advocated for the expansion of the school counseling department, revamped the school counseling department program, and applied innovative ideas to involve school counselors in the district's equity and access goals. The Hillsborough Township Committee commends Jessica Smedley for being recognized as Somerset County School Counselor of the Year for 2019, and we thank her for all her work and dedication to the youth of Hillsborough, and we're honored to have her as part of our community. Congratulations, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Mayor and Township Committee members. I really appreciate this honor, and I accept it on behalf of my entire team of school counselors in the community. And we thank everyone in the community, and especially our Board of Education, for the support of our entire school counseling program. Thank you so much.
Can I have all our reach interns come on up? Oh, and if we have any of the employees here that work with the reach interns?
Doesn't work hard for you during the day, Bob?
No. Just squeeze in.
Okay, who's running the town right now? All our interns are here.
So we have, I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but we've been running a program for a number of years now that our administrator really has kind of amped up a little bit in terms of trying to get as much involvement with some of the high school kids and some of our intern programs. And we have them working with a number of our departments here in the municipal building to give them a sense of what happens with our with the types of departments and programs that we run in the municipality. And every year we get an incredible group of kids to help support some of the initiatives that we're doing here in Hillsborough Township. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
I'm Ishan Parikh.
I'm Rohan Singh.
I'm Shreya Kaul.
I'm Sankhya Parvatra.
I'm Erin Washburn. I'm Mahi Mumtaz.
I'm Priyanka Panchadula.
I'm Rohan Anthony.
I'm Ritik Gupta.
I'm Alexis Pitty.
I'm Shivi Balmurugan.
I'm Ismail Shah.
I'm Rajesh Chordia.
I wasn't going to take the microphone. I was going to have Ms. Wise say something because she's just incredible. Really, the amount of time that she spends with the students is great, and also with Pam Borak, who also teams with me on the internship. And I want to thank all the employees because it really is an amazing program. If you think about, and I call us our seasoned veterans that you have here in the township employees, and with the young students. So putting them both together, getting them ready for the workforce, and completing some significant projects in the township. You just imagine having these folks here and we treat them just like our own employees, all the things that we would never be able to do. So we thank them for all their hard work, and a lot of times they'll come back once they go off to college or vocational school and come back and work for us back then and get some more internships, and some of them become full-time employees. We have many of those back here in the township. So I want to thank them very much and the support of the mayor and the township for allowing these great projects. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay.
You're gonna need a second. Maybe you guys, some of you guys can take a knee or something, or from the front a little bit. Take a knee, guys. There you go. That'll work.
Good job. Sideways and squeeze.
Okay. And Cam, I can't see you. You guys are gonna have to squish. How's that?
Better?
Yeah.
It's here tonight.
Okay.
Only two more, Mayor.
Two
You
more.
you got this.
All right. David Course, can I have you come on up for a second? We continue to keep racking up some nice recognition here in the municipality, so I wanted to make sure everyone's aware of some of the awards we received. And Hillsborough Township recently received the Municipal Innovation Award for Going Green from Infrastructure to Culture submission at the first annual Municipal Innovation Summit held at Fairleigh Dickinson University on Saturday, May the 11th, 2019. The summit featured municipal leaders and industry experts from across the state sharing strategies and effective use of resources and technology in our communities. Municipal officials from more than 100 municipalities within Essex, Morris, Somerset, and Union counties were there were invited to participate in the summit. David Coyce, who we called up earlier as our business advocate, also serves as our sustainability lead here in the municipality. So to recognize to have the town be recognized for a technology award as it relates to our sustainability efforts is something we're very proud of. And David, thank you for leading that initiative. Would you like to say anything?
Thank you, Mayor. It's an honor to bring back this award. It was really an amazing experience to be able to go out and represent the township. This was a project that started in 2014 and ended earlier this year. A couple months ago, the township had an opportunity to recognize Rutgers Cooperative Extension and all the great work that they did associated with this. And since then, it gave us an opportunity to submit for this award and to really scream from the mountaintop about the positive impact that that grant project had on the town. And it was a pleasure being part of the project. So thank you so much, Mayor.
One more. I have Sean Kavanaugh. Sean Kavanaugh. So we've participated in the local Lewis Bay, the second Future Municipal Leader Scholarship Competition. And this certificate of participation is presented to Sean as a state finalist from Hillsborough Township. And this is for his interest in civic contributions to the community, as evidenced by your participation in the 25th Annual Lewis Bay, the second Future Municipal Leader Scholarship Competition. So I wanted to recognize you with the certificate, and thank you for participating in the competition, and best of luck to you in the future.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and to the Township Committee, thank you.
Okay, that does conclude our presentation portion of the agenda tonight. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. If you would like to leave, we'll give you an opportunity to do that in an orderly way. Please stay if you like. We got a great meeting coming up. But thank you very much for being here, and congratulations to all our recipients tonight. Okay, we're back to our agenda. We have no new business this evening, so we're going to move on to public comment on new business and matters that are not on the agenda. If anyone has any comments on anything that is not on tonight's agenda, now's your time to keep forward. Please come on forward. Just please state your name and address for the record. You can grab it or you can leave it there. If you want, just speak into it so everyone can hear you.
If you could speak into it because it sometimes turns off.
So you're saying
You gotta hold it close.
Hi.
Committee committee members and mayor, I want to thank you for taking this time to listen to us in advance.
A little closer?
My name is Deborah Myers Eisenberger, live in Westcott Road in Hillsborough. We know that you guys advocate for the disabled and for the school systems and for the young. We wanted to share a story with you of something that happened at the senior prom for Hillsborough on June 17th. There was a table of 11 students who had developmental and special needs. They went as a group to prom. 2 of the children at the table were typical peers who were asked to participate and support those children. As parents, we know that our children have never been able to fully advocate for themselves. We wanted this night to be special for them. We rented a limousine, we bought tuxes and expensive dresses, we had a pre-party, and we wanted them to take matters for their leaving the prom in their own hands. We had a card that one of them had, it was actually my son, and he was supposed to call the limo driver between 11 o'clock and 11:15. All the literature from the Hillsborough said 11:15, no prom, transportation would leave before that. So I'm going to tell you that the children that were there are on the spectrum. Some of them have genetic disabilities, and some of them had physical disabilities. So they were assigned aides from the district. The aides were paid, and the prom did not end until 11:30. With me are other parents, and the children came to speak for themselves. One of them was the typical chaperone who will explain to the council and to the mayor what that evening was like for these disabled children. And then 1 or 2 of the children who were at this table will tell you what it was like. This story is very disheartening and horrific. If you have or know anybody with a developmental disability or a special handicap, I know you all advocate for them. We tried, and they tried to advocate for themselves. We have gotten no satisfaction from the district. My son was not questioned. Some of the children were questioned without adults. We have gotten nothing. And I hope that you all will help us to remediate this and find the cause and help us to find some answers. But just want to let you know that 4 of the girls, plus the typical peer, were part of the Rockin' Raiders, which is an all-inclusive cheerleading team that the mayor gave commendation. You did.
Yes.
In December of 2018.
We saw them at the parade as well.
Security was called. Security was called. The aides called security on these kids at their senior prom, and they were herded out like sheep. So with that, here's Maddie. She was one of the typical peer escorts. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Madison Hansen, and I'm a junior at Hillsborough High School. I'm on the PALS board, a club with the students with disabilities, captain of the Rockin' Raiders, the all-inclusive cheer team, and a founding member of Running Raiders, which is the unified track team. All of these activities are involved with the students with disabilities at Hillsborough. First off, I do these activities to be friends with the students with disabilities. I want to make their high school experiences fun and memorable, just like your typical teenagers. This past weekend, well, I guess last past week, whatever, I was asked to accompany a senior with Down syndrome to prom. Without hesitation, I said yes. I made it my mission to make sure she had the best night of her life. Sure, she has a disability, but that doesn't mean her prom should be any different than anyone else's. Our day started like any other. All high schoolers went to prom, our minds clouded with the thought of the night ahead of us. Students left early in order to prepare for the evening of fun. After getting ready, students with disabilities and I arrived at the clubhouse. We spent an hour taking pictures, eating snacks, and complimenting each other about how we looked. We were getting ready to go into the night of dancing and singing. It was their senior prom, one of their last memories of high school. It was their night. They even had a limousine to take us to and from the prom. We arrived feeling like superstars taking on the world. You could see it in their eyes, the enjoyment, the confidence, and here I was, becoming a part of their world. I was able to be in their mindset, be where they were, and see what they see. I was in their shoes, playing a part in making their night the best it could be. All I could do was try to ensure the best time of their lives. All was running smoothly up until 10:05, when one of the aides approached me saying, "You guys are leaving at 20 or quarter of." Earlier, multiple parents told me we were scheduled to leave at 11:15. only 15 minutes before every other senior participating in the big night would. I reiterated what the parents told me and how the limo was to come at 11:15. But the aide continued to say how she talked to the driver who said he would be there early. This is when the night started to fall apart. One of the students overheard this conversation and texted one of the mothers responsible for arranging the ride to and from prom, and confusion spread amongst us like wildfire. Some of us continued to dance and make the best of the night, while many became fixated on why we had to leave early instead of enjoying what little time we had left. It was 10:40 when the real chaos had begun. Another one of the students with disabilities was calling the limo driver, clarifying the pickup time was 11:15. He was trying to tell all the aides how the limo was to come at 11:15 and that we were supposed to stay the whole night. Then multiple aides were attempting to rip the phone out of his hands. The phone had the limo driver, Mr. Jim, on the line. The situation then escalated and security was called on him. He was only trying to tell the aides that we were to leave at 11:15, like all of us were told. However, the only other neurotypical student and I were begging one of the aides to at least let us stay for the Annunciation of Prom King and Queen, being that we thought it was like the biggest part of prom night. The girl who brought me was so excited for King and Queen. Before we even arrived, she was asking me, "Who do you think will win?" The aide we were talking to agreed and said, "I don't see why not," and let us stay for the Annunciation and the final dance. So with that, we all filed back into the ballroom to sit in our seats. We were then harshly interrupted by another aide seconds later. She forced us out of the room, saying that the adults make the decisions, and we were escorted out of there in a flash. One girl was trying to sit and stay because that is what all the parents had told us. She was torn, trying to sit and stay. She was torn from her seat with tears filling in her eyes. We were pushed into and through the doorway. All of us trying to see who won King and Queen. Not only were the rest of the seniors watching the scene being caused, but in the end, we couldn't even see the crown being placed on the king's head. Honestly, I still don't really know who won. We were then ushered to the limo. 4 students, an aide and I, took the elevator downstairs to the exit. At this point, we were all saddened, but one girl was crying almost hysterically. She kept repeating how upset she was and how she just wanted to be normal for once. The aide didn't even attempt to console her, and said another student with disabilities had to. With devastated hearts and tears, we entered the limo. You could tell everyone's mood has changed. Multiple girls were crying, and the rest of us were still in shock of what had just happened. We made the best of the ride home, but nothing could make what happened any better. The worst part wasn't even the chaos that had occurred, but the fact that all the students in the limo won't remember the silly dance move photos and laughs we shared throughout the night. The discrimination and confusion will be the only thing that stuck. We arrived home, students and parents still confused. Parents asked their children if they had fun, and some blatantly just said no. These students have been scarred. If we didn't have a limo, our parents would have came and picked us up at 11:15 like the hundreds of other seniors. Because of the aide's discriminatory actions, their memories of the night were tarnished based on the last hour of discrimination and confusing mayhem. Only the negative memories will remain. This is not what senior prom or any prom should be like for anyone. Thank you.
Hi.
Take your time, it's okay.
That's perfect.
Hi, my name is Julie Lashin. I am 18 years old and I go to Hillsborough High School. I wanted to give my perspective of what happened at senior prom, May 17, 2019. The night was great. All of my friends and I had a great time until the end of prom. All the parents told my friends and I that we could stay up until 11:15. 11:15 was when we were supposed to leave at the minimum. The aide told us it was time to go. I protested by staying at our table seated, refusing to leave. One of the aides got mad with me, saying that we were leaving now. I told her the parents wanted us to stay till at least 11:15. I showed the aide the message from one of the moms that stated the time that we were supposed to leave. The aide got mad with me and threatened to get a vice principal on me. I left crying. I felt like I failed my friends. Being that I was the only emancipated adult in my whole group of friends at the prom, I felt like it was my duty to protect myself and my friends if anything bad were to happen at the prom. All the aides had no right to make us leave a whole half hour early. My friend, my whole group of friends and I were being discriminated against. We were the only ones leaving at 10:40. It was both embarrassing and humiliating. It seemed like everybody was staring at us as we were leaving, especially as I was having an argument with the aide when I was trying to stick up for my friends, as I had to sit down protest. We have every right to stay at the prom full time, like everyone else in that room. Just because we are special ed students does not mean we have to leave early. The way the aides treated one of our friends that was our guest was unacceptable. They had no right to try to grab his phone from him or have him escorted out of prom by hotel security. He was just trying to stick up for all of his friends like what I did. He was just trying to call the limo driver, which is what all the parents told him to do. All of us should have left that prom in a happy mood, not feeling sad about how badly treated we were. The aides owe all of us an apology, not just to us, but to the parents too. Our parents paid for the limo, paid for our appointments to get ready for prom, and for our prom tickets. We paid to stay full-time at this prom, and honestly, our parents' money was wasted. They care about all of us so much where they would pay all this money for us, just so they could see us happy and having a fun time. They were extremely sad to see us all sad and suffering as we exited that limo. I'm not just saying this to advocate for myself and my friends, but also for all of the other special ed students going to prom next year. I don't want to see this happen to anyone else at their special night at prom, because this is a night we will never get back. Discrimination against special needs students is a real problem lately, and hopefully this can help people realize it is a problem. Hopefully something can be done about this incident so this does not happen to anyone else. Thank you.
Thank you.
She wrote that herself. She wrote that herself.
So, oh, God, I'm sorry. I know. Please, I'll go ahead and speak. Yeah, I thought. You want that a little higher?
Lois to the rescue.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. My name is Veronica Mays. I moved to Hillsborough on March 30th, 2003. I've lived here for 16 years. I only have 2 children who have both gone through the Hillsborough Township Public School System. My last child is a special needs student and a senior at Hillsborough High School. Not only am I a longtime resident of Hillsborough, good citizen, registered voter, and taxpayer, but I work in Hillsborough as well. This letter serves as a response to an incident that occurred on May 17, 2019 at the Hillsborough High School senior prom located at the East Brunswick Hilton. As a resident of Hillsborough and advocate for special needs population in the community, I am concerned with how my daughter, her guests, and school friends were treated at one of the most memorable events of their lives, senior prom. Unbeknownst to me, at approximately 10:06, without my permission or any adult parents' permission, a chaperone at Hillsborough High School contacted our contractual limo driver to inform him that the pickup time was changed to 10:40 p.m. Per Principal Binker's previous correspondence, all students were informed that pickup time would be no earlier than 11:15 p.m. As a result, our limo driver was instructed accordingly. By no means was anyone given permission to alter our contract between myself and the limo driver. I'm the one that set up the limo. In preparation for the prom, I contacted 2 Hillsborough High School employees, my daughter's case manager via one of the aides via email address, their email address. I emailed and provided their limo information, pickup times, drop-up times, and locations. During our communication, she, my daughter's case manager, even assured me that all Hillsborough High School personnel working at the prom had the emergency contact information for all of the children attending in event of an emergency, with parents' contact information, the students' diagnosis in case there were, and all of our parents' information in case there was a change in plans. It behooves you to contact the parents in the event of any changes needed to be made. The aide responded back to my email, "Thank you for your information. We, the parents, deserve the right to be contacted and made aware of any changing involving our children." In an effort to promote inclusiveness and social equity amongst the special needs population, my daughter and her friends were denied their rights. As a result of the confusion of early pickup, our children were not allowed to witness what most would deem the highlight of the evening, the crowning of the prom king and queen. To my understanding, some of our kids were not allowed to finish their desserts. When our children asked, why do we have to leave early? Can we stay and witness the king and queen? Our children were dismissed and told by a staff member, "No, you have to leave now, and I am the adult." When my daughter's guest tried to contact the limo driver himself, the aide attempted to take his cell phone because she was on the phone with the limo driver and the other phone. When he refused to give up his phone, she contacted hotel security and had him escorted out of the prom. On the night of senior prom, our children were humiliated, embarrassed, and treated unfairly. Per my limousine driver, it seems like the aides were in a hurry to end the night. He also said, the kids were having fun and a good time. Why couldn't she let them stay like 15 more minutes? It brings tears to my eyes every time I replay the words spoken from one of our very own children. I just want my prom back again. This experience was horrible and heartbreaking, not only for our children, but for the parents as well. When this concern was brought to my attention of my case manager, she explained that she was not allowed to share any information on the professionals in question, nor would she release the names of the assigned chaperones who worked that night. This is going back in the story. For those who can relate, it is not easy raising a child with special needs in the society we live in. In an effort to promote inclusive society, our children's experiences reflected otherwise. Concerned parent, Veronica Mays, and I just had one question if I can ask the aide. I mean, I had a bunch, but I have one question for the aide, the number one aide in question. She had a 17-year-old special needs student escorted out of the hotel security. How can she sleep at night? Thank you.
Marty Mays, 44 Scott Drive. I'm not going to read anything to you. I just got a couple of points that I would like to make. One, this is an outrage. You know, I said it at the Board of Education meeting, and I'm going to say it here tonight again. This is just outrageous that this is happening. You heard everything that everybody else said. My point is, if this was all going on amongst these aides, the mayhem that these kids described, and you mean to tell me not one aide had the ability to pick up the phone and call one of us? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Is there somebody that's supposed to be supervising these aides? Do they have a supervisor? I wanted to say now, I went to see the principal and I had dealings with her with my son, and she always made things right. I respect her. I can't take anything away from her, I do. I went to her, I said, listen, can you make this right? And I'm not sure if she can. I'm not even sure if she's willing. Now they tell me that this went from a simple investigation to something called HIB. I'm like, what is HIB? When I was growing up, it was just plain old bullying. But now it's harassment, intimidation, and bullying. I guess that means that things are just getting worse. I'd like somebody to check these aides and see when did they get paid from. If they kicking my kids out of the prom at 10:40, did they get paid till 11:30? Did they even hang around? I'd like somebody to look into that. This is the prom. Everybody here remembers their prom. I wish I had two. Some other people probably wish they had two as well, but we only have one, and there's no do-over. So now my daughter has to live with this memory for her prom. I believe in due process. I believe that the aides have due process. That's their right. But these kids are owed an apology, not when the investigation is over. Now. Somebody needs to apologize to these kids now. These are the same kids that are in the paper for special needs, for track, for all the things that we do here in Hillsborough. I came here tonight. Somebody back here step up, call Dr. Schiff tomorrow and say, apologize to these kids. That's what I want. Everybody wants this, that's what I want, a simple apology for my daughter and her friends. And again, in terms of what I want, people say, what do you want? I got what I want already, because every day I tell my daughter, listen, there's bad people out here. You special needs, you don't understand so much the money and different things that she has to deal with. And lo and behold, it's the damn aide at the school that you got to worry about. This is an outrage, and I wish I could stand here tonight in front of you and say, Hillsborough, the good life.
Hi, I'm Catherine Trusky, 39 Gateway Boulevard. I just wanted to follow up, quickly mention, obviously I agree with the other parents. I have a senior at Hillsborough High School. She has a developmental disability. She was honored by then Mayor McCauley for, got a commendation as part of the Rockin' Raiders, which is a team started by myself and Mrs. Mays with the support of Mrs. Mazzio and several other parents that we brought into the school district because the school district had nothing inclusive for our students. So we created this team for our kids. The district then took it upon themselves to create a running team that became an inclusive venture for our kids. We have changed the face of what inclusion and what it means to be a student at Hillsborough High School by our efforts, and our tremendous students have changed what it's like to be a student at Hillsborough High School. The stigma that we fight so hard to upend, to change, to give our students a sense that they have a right to self-advocacy, they have a voice, that we need them to learn how to stand up for themselves. So we put it in their IEPs. We put it in writing to see who's in charge, to see if my daughter, how many times she raises her hand for help in class because she's so timid and so bows to authority, and she does not like to rock the boat. She also perseverates on things. So an evening like this, as described for many of our students, has to be well thought out, has to be planned. When you tell your child with special needs, here's what's going to happen. Sometimes you have to rehearse it. You know, many students on the spectrum need actual rehearsals and time to understand. We're going to be planning for graduation. How's my daughter going to make it up the steps? How is she, you know, who's going to support this? There's so many pieces that people don't realize that parents deal with and work with their students, so that when they get into an environment like this, where we trust these aides, we trust that they're going to be safe, and we trust that the rules are going to be followed, and we tell our kids, these are the people who are supporting you. And to have those people turn on you the way Mr. Mays just expressed, and how to explain that to your child. Look, a huge, huge outrage and a huge challenge for all of us is to how do we teach our kids with special needs, you can't trust those aides anymore. We thought you could, but you can't. But maybe a different aide will be better. We don't know. A lot of our kids can't even vocalize to us exactly what happened. They don't have the ability to verbalize or put it in the same words. I don't know what any of you are able to do with what happened to our students. I know you don't have tremendous jurisdiction over the school district, but I know you serve this township, and I know that you have friends, and I know that you care about our students. And I know that you see who stood up here today to speak from their hearts, and you see all the crying parents who are now every single day saying, nothing's happened yet. Nope, the aides are still working at the school. The principal's still investigating. The Board of Ed heard everything. Dr. Schiff hasn't sent any word out to any of us. Yes, we just asked Mr. Gasworth for at least a suspension of the aides until we determine what happened, if there's really something to determine. I have the principal recorded in a meeting with me that she agreed to be recorded, and I said, was anyone allowed to leave before 11 o'clock from senior prom? No. Were limos allowed to leave before 11:15? No. What time did the prom end? 11:30. Yes. Do aides actually take instruction from parents? From who are the aides taking instruction from, if not you? Yeah, no, they take instruction from the child study team. Okay. So we were given all the rules. Why didn't they follow them? And why are we still discussing this and not telling our students that we have some accountability, that we have an apology, that they don't have to work with people who treated them with disdain, that disrespected our students and treated them as if they didn't matter as much as all of the other students? The final thing I asked Principal Bingert when I met with her was, were any other students asked to leave early from senior prom? Any typically developing students forced to leave? No. Actually, they were forced to stay until 11 o'clock, which is the time that was given. So I again ask and urge you for any comment, guidance, support that you can offer us, reaching out to who you know and how you can help these families find, to find remediation. There are 7 of us, 7 families standing for our children. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Donna Mazzio. I have 4 children. My oldest, Elena Mazzio, many of you know. She received a proclamation from you, Mayor, also with the Rockin' Raiders. When I went to the clubhouse to pick Elena up, and all of her friends were there, many were crying. Elena was one of them. Her words about prom were, "It's not fair. I want my prom back. I didn't get to see the king and queen." Those were her memories. It's day 10. An investigation is still happening. Unfortunately, I've had to file some HIB reports, so I'm familiar. I know there's policy, there's law governing those types of investigations. This investigation that's happening at the high school, my understanding is that it's Principal Bingert and Supervisor of Special Services, Emily Keys, that are conducting the investigation. And I went in with Elena to be interviewed. I wanted to be with her. I'm her legal guardian. And I asked, what policies and protocol are you following when there are allegations made against a staff member? Where's your policy, the rules? There are none. She couldn't refer to any. So they're doing an internal investigation. And the questions that my daughter were asked, I felt as though they were looking for areas in which they can question or maybe discredit some of her testimony. That is my opinion. And my daughter, with verbal delays, developmental delays, answered those questions. And she also said, my friend, your son, stood up for all of us. He stood up for all of us. And she just was able to speak her mind. And I was so proud of her because she felt, you could tell she was a little frightened. You're in the principal's office. And even though they reassured her and they said, we're here to help, and they started asking questions, and it was Thursday, and one of their questions was to Elena, do you know who the prom king is? She said, yes, Connor Leone. And I said, I know who the prom king is. It's Thursday. So I didn't understand their lines of questioning. So, and if she had dessert, some kids were able to. I guess she was in line ahead. So she had dessert, some didn't. And as far as the enunciation, the kids heard it from the hallway. And then some things that were brought up too were that some students were able to leave earlier. Why? Why are those rules in place if they're able to be broken? If it clearly states on all communications, on invitations, that no one's to leave before 11, no limo is to arrive before 11:15, prom is over at 11:30. And there was some question about whether or not, well, our children, they make exceptions. And they do. Our kids might leave 15 minutes earlier. 15 minutes earlier before the end of prom is 11:15. So, again, we're here tonight asking for your help. It's day 10, and we're just being told they're looking into it. and they hope to have an answer tomorrow.
Okay.
What's today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? And then what? What happens? And every day since, our kids are living with this, and it was their one and only prom. No do-overs, and that's their memory. So thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Deborah Hansen. My daughter Madison read the letter. She was questioned on Monday, first thing. I was never notified. I believe the question was asked to her. I may not have it 100% correct, but it was stated, what if there was something that said you were supposed to leave at that time? I'm going to leave you with this. What if these children actually left at the appropriate time? No one would be standing here right now. Thank you.
So let me, first of all, Jane, can I just maybe just respond to them quickly, and then I'll let. First of all, I don't know what it's worth for you, but I am very sorry you had to go through that process. And we certainly don't know what's going on at this point, but it's certainly disheartening. I do make a point of seeing the Board of Ed meetings. I think it's important that we watch them, and I did see your speeches at the Board of Ed meeting as well. So it's heartbreaking, and I can only imagine what the parents are going through, but more importantly, what the kids are going through. Young lady, you're very brave for coming up and speaking. So thank you for saying that, and Madison, thank you for chaperoning and being there with them during that process. I know PALS is a tremendous program at the high school, and thank you for participating in that. I think one of the first parents that came up said, I know I speak for all the Township Committee, and I know I speak for Administrator Ferreira and Clerk Borak when we say we certainly do care about our special needs kids. I know the Board of Ed does too, and I'm not sure what's happening there, but I know that they are very committed to the special needs community as well. It's something that is, we work to try to make sure that we have inclusive programs, that we have the opportunities for our special needs kids. And I don't know what happened here, and I wish I did, and I wish I could share that with you. I don't. I will make this offer, though. This is a Board of Ed jurisdiction piece, but certainly if there is any way that we can assist in the process in terms of whether it be the investigation, if there's resources we need to allow or share, or have maybe some of our detectives or anyone get involved that may understand how to get involved in this process, that remains an open invitation for the Board of Ed to allow us to participate in that. I'm sorry?
Then at least maybe we would get some answers.
So we can certainly have that conversation with them and see if there's a way that, from a municipality standpoint, we can assist. It's very, very heartbreaking that this is the memory that these kids will have for their prom. I appreciate the parents' efforts in trying to create a night that they would remember that was special. I know there is a lot of planning that has to go into that process, and it seemed like that went into what was going on here, and the fact that whatever changed at the end, we need to understand what happened there, and I hope we can get to the point where we understand what transpired, and the kids can get some satisfaction as to what happened. I am certainly hopeful that will be the case, and I believe we'll get there. But but we will follow up and make sure that whatever we can do, we will certainly avail ourselves of that opportunity. We do have a Board of Ed member here, so I wanted to let...
Jane Stats, 101 Devonshire Court, and Board of Ed member, and I have spoken to some of them after the last Board of Ed meeting, and the word that keeps coming to mind is it's just very sad. And there is an ongoing investigation because it's such a serious matter. I think they're being very, very thorough, and it will be resolved, I think, by tomorrow, based on some emails that I've been, been part of between the parents and Ms. Binger. But I got to say, I'm really impressed by the students that advocated for themselves and for one another, not only at the prom, but also at the Board of Ed meeting and tonight, and as we've spoken to them. And the sad thing is that you can't get the prom back.
Yeah.
That's what's so sad.
No do-overs is tough to take. I know that's hard to accept.
The security
Yeah.
call was just, it was a terrifying, humiliating event. And it's not even about a do-over.
And I appreciate that someone is hoping for, at least maybe for the future, that, there will be policy in place to prevent anybody else from having experiences, and that you're advocating for future students not having to experience that. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. That's crazy. That's insane.
If we could just ask the parents, if you could just follow up with us, since the investigation is going to be concluding tomorrow. If it does, could you email the mayor that way, or in the township committee, so we'd be able to know what happened and respond accordingly?
And make sure it's to your satisfaction.
I have Anthony's.
Okay. Yeah. Sure, can you just come up to the microphone, please? Can I not? Yeah, no, you have to, because... Sorry to make you come up, but you can't hear any unless you're at the microphone.
How's my hair? Of course, this is heartbreaking.
Excuse me, ma'am.
I have nothing to do with the school.
You have to state your name.
I have nothing to do with, my name is Donna Marie Yost.
Thank you.
I'm from Country Club Homes, and I'm here for the next meeting. But it's heartbreaking, it's sad to hear. It also makes me very, very angry to sit there and hear that this was done, that there were, that their plans were planned out so well, and that this happened, and there was no one as an adult who was available there for them to say, stop. It should be a pretty easy question to get an answer to. Why did you make these people leave early? Now, besides that, and the pain that I can imagine, the parents were at home and they were thinking, oh, I can't wait to see the smiles, I can't wait to hear the stories, I can't wait to see the pictures, and they had to see their children come in crying. But in spite of that, I want to commend you for having a sit down. I'm an old hippie, and we had sit downs, and they can work. For you to, in that moment, have all these horrible feelings to say, I'm going to stand and advocate for us. This is something I'm sure you were taught by your own parents. And you learned it, and you used it at such a young age. I can only imagine where you're going to go from here. You will always now be an advocate for people and to be fair to all people. And for you to read your letter, I'm more nervous than I think you were when you came up. And for your son, whose son? It was my son. for her son to, instead of freaking out or getting angry, doing things that other people might have, he made a telephone call and then was dragged out of there. What he did was so commendable, so brave of him, so smart, so balanced. He was going to try to calmly advocate and just find out what's happening. Why do we have to leave? So I just want to say that when you have these bad memories of the prom, you have to have the good memories of how strong you have come out of it, and that you're advocating for this with your parents. So you've all done, your children, your parents have done a wonderful job.
America, just briefly, because I think we've all feel the pain of the parents and the students, and like the mayor, I deeply apologize, and I just hope that you, what this young lady just said, you bring some strength out and move forward. But this is more pointed to the Board of Ed, and I'm sorry, Jane, you happened to be here, that you stood up and took the brunt. The ball's in your court. You guys have policies for everything. I hope that the next policy has these kids' names on it to commemorate what they just went through, so that that never, ever happens again.
So thank you for coming up. Thank you for telling your story. We hope that, I don't know you'll ever get full satisfaction, but I hope you get the answers you're seeking, and if we can help, you have my commitment, we will. Okay. Any other matters not on the agenda?
Changing topics. Meryl Bisberg, 4 Hickory Hill Road. And I also want to commend everybody who came up here tonight. I'm going to just switch gears now because my comments are not related to that. But in an article that came out in May in the Beacon that was mostly about the redevelopment of the Sherman property, it's the article in the Beacon, Hillsborough Planning Board signs off on Sherman redevelopment plan, came out on May 10th. It says that, quote, municipal officials are anticipating the adoption of a new housing plan by the end of 2019. It is expected the Sherman property will be an integral part of the housing plan, and the redevelopment plan will serve to implement the housing plan, unquote. In the months since this plan was reviewed, at least 2 developments, Hillsborough Village Center behind Bottle King and Emerald Terrace next to AutoZone and across from Avalon, have been approved, totaling over 300 apartments. Actually, both of these developments were approved in the month of May. My question is there a reason we haven't submitted a plan to the state yet and don't plan on submitting one until the end of this year, but we're still going ahead and zoning, planning, and ostensibly building before the Fair Share Housing Center even approves our plan? Also, our own master re-exam plan from last November anticipated a housing element and fair share plan that would be submitted to the state by the end of 2018. Why hasn't this happened yet? Are we going to incur development remedy lawsuits as a result?
The answer to your last question is no. And I know you participated or at least saw the town hall that we had on affordable housing. So maybe just to reiterate where we've been, we do not submit to the state. We are a court town. So we are working with the court master. We are working with Fair Share Housing on reaching an agreement on what our final obligation will be as it relates to our affordable housing obligation for Hillsborough. So we have been diligently working with our professionals, our legal counsel, our affordable housing consultant, Jen Beam, Administrator Ferreira, have been working with the court and Fair Share on putting together a plan that will essentially allow us to be compliant with the final number. Do we know what that final number is yet? No. Do we know that we will need to have a number of developments that will have a fair, affordable housing element to them in order to allow us to be compliant, yes. And we've been working a number of developments. Those two that you mentioned in May are part of that process. So we do not have our final agreement yet, but we do expect that we will have an arrangement with Fair Share within the next several months. Our current agreement for the immunity ends at the end of June?
Ends the end of June. I was talking to council today, and also Mr. Maskey is part of the team. So we're working with them and have meetings scheduled. Obviously, that's the last thing we want to have is our immunity taken away at the end of June. So we'll sure it does
the immunity agreement is from the court, and that indicates that as long as we're negotiating in good faith with Fair Share, that we're not subject to any builder's remedy lawsuits.
Okay. All right, just to clarify, when I said the state, I meant Fair Share. I probably said that wrong.
Well, but it's actually it's actually a court settlement that we'll have to enter into.
State, technically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments on matters not on the agenda? Okay, so we're going to move on to our public hearings. The first item up tonight is public hearing 2019-10, which is to amend Chapter 188 of the Code of the Township of Hillsborough by amending Section 113.1 Gateway A to add new subsection K, which is Mixed-Use Inclusionary Overlay District. This proposed ordinance was reviewed by the Planning Board at the May 2nd meeting, and the Board recommended approval of the ordinance as proposed. The proposed ordinance would amend the Gateway A zone to create a mixed-use inclusionary overlay district, within the GA zone. The overlay district will be applied to lots 66 and 67 in Block 155.01, which are located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Route 206 and Andrea Avenue. The amendment would add single-use multifamily residential buildings and drive-through restaurants to the list of permitted uses, but only when constructed as part of a mixed-use development. The amendment would include appropriate design controls for all such uses within the overlay district. Our township planner, David Maskey, is here this evening to provide some additional details on the overlay and the ordinance. Mr. Maskey.
Thank you, Mayor. As has been stated at a prior meeting, the primary purpose of this ordinance amendment is to stimulate the redevelopment of what used to be known as the Cost Cutters Shopping Center. In essence, it provides another option. It does not in any way negate or supersede the underlying Gateway A zone. So if someone wanted to come in tomorrow and build according to the GA standards, they are certainly capable of doing so. This provides another option to incentivize the redevelopment of the property. It also gives us an added benefit. There was just comments made about the affordable housing issues. We will get some inclusionary housing out of this project, so it's a bit of a bonus. The total, speaking of units, the total number of dwelling units in the district would be capped at 118, combined with a minimum of 50,000 square feet of commercial space. There were some comments made at the introduction meeting. What about the retail? The ordinance was written specifically to mandate, if you will, that this remain a mixed-use site, that it is not just an apartment complex. A minimum of 50,000 square feet of retail space has to be maintained in order to trigger or to permit the residential component. The proposed amendment is consistent with the stated purpose of the GA zone, which is to promote land uses along Route 206 that are compatibly designed and function as a transition between the highway and the emerging town center development. That's the current ordinance language. A particular note in this amendment, in the inclusionary zone, single-use residential buildings would not be allowed to front directly onto 206, so we'd still be maintaining a commercial frontage on 206 or future Main Street. And as I said, a mixture of commercial and residential uses would still be required. In addition, as the amendment is an overlay, as I said, and this is important to underscore, it does not preclude development of the site in accordance with the current GA district standards. So to summarize, it's an added option for the property. It includes the front piece, if you will, which is the existing building. and includes the rear piece, which is currently vacant, 2 5-acre parcels. The minimum tract size altogether is 10 acres. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions anyone might have.
Dave, just so everyone's clear, what we are proposing today is not the design or the site plan for the site. It is simply the ordinance as to what is permissible to be built on the site, correct?
That is correct. This is not prejudging or pre-approving anything. It amends the ordinance, provides another option. Anybody who wants to build according to the option would still have to apply to the planning board for site plan approval and go through the usual process, make sure they meet all the code requirements and all the design requirements.
So I just want to make sure everyone's clear on that whatever would ultimately be built would still have to go through a full planning board process to be built on the site. But we do have to create the ordinance before anything could be done there.
Can I ask one question? How does that drive-through work? Is that's just there in case the developer wants to put that in his commercial space? And for the life of me, I can't think of how that would work at Cost Cutters, like drive-through restaurants.
If they chose to design it in, they could. There are certain standards that they would have to meet. For instance, the drive-through window could not front on 206. It would have to be to the side. Has to be a certain amount of feet away from a neighboring property. So there are certain design criteria that they would have to follow.
Would it be something like in the parking lot, like what you did, like
Yes.
what happened at Starbucks?
Yes, be a pad site, most likely.
But all that would have to be discussed with the...
It would be
later
permitted,
dates.
but again, they would have to come to the planning board and show how they meet all the standards for a drive-through restaurant.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else from the dais? Or from Mr. Maskey, I'll say that. Okay. I'll just a sec. We'll get to you in just a sec, I promise. We're gonna open it up to the public.
And I know she didn't come over here.
Okay, can I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2019-10?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, any discussion from the dais on this topic? Okay, we'll go to any comments from the floor. I'd ask you, if you want to comment on this ordinance, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and just speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Richard Foreman. I've resided in Hillsborough for 33
Mr.
years.
Foreman, you got to get real close to the mic, otherwise it doesn't pick you up.
Am I all right now?
There you go.
That's fine.
We get the shake from the guy behind you, and if it doesn't pick up.
I'll repeat myself. Richard Foreman. I've been a resident in Brookside Square for 33 years. So during those 33 years, I've seen various things occurring in the, you called it cost cutter development. I've been here long enough to see it go from food town and a theater, a exercise facility, cost cutter. I have also seen the entire strip of businesses along there, with the exception of a restaurant and I think an insurance agency, be vacant for some years. I have no idea how the owner stays in business or pays property taxes to us on that. One of the things that I am concerned with right now, and I know some of our Board of Trustees from Brookside Square Residential Community are in the audience back here, and they probably share the same concerns. Is that commercial property ever going to be used if they're going to redevelop the area once poor Peter Biondi's bypass is completed? His wife and I were talking about this at the breakfast and parade, because we went to high school together. Is Pete's up there looking and saying, what is with this? my road goes nowhere.
Pete stares at us from the back of the room.
Yes,
every
I
meeting.
noticed.
See him right there. Yeah, trust us.
Believe me, I knew him when he looked much younger than that, playing on a high school football team. One of the things is the structure of the buildings that are there now. I'm assuming they will remain as commercially zoned. Are you going to be allowing the building of the 118 units immediately behind it? Or are you going to be allowing something to be built on top of them? Or how is it going to work? I'm trying to visualize the whole thing.
All of the above. Under the current zoning, they could do a mixed-use building if they chose.
Yeah.
With the amendment, the residential component would be behind the current, well, let me back up a little bit. There's nothing in this ordinance amendment that says what's there now has to stay there. What it says is, if you want to build 118 residential units, you have to have a minimum 50,000 square feet of commercial space. How you put it on the site would be guided by what's in the ordinance. So it can't, again, as we said earlier, we don't have an actual application in front of us. So there are various ways you can design the site and where you put certain uses. I can tell you under this, yes, the residential portion has to be placed behind the commercial space, wherever that commercial space is. And it has to add up to at least 50,000 square feet.
So I think that there's, David, correct if I'm wrong, but there's nothing that permits solely residential units fronting on 206.
That's correct. The intention was to maintain this as a mixed-use type of environment on that property.
The buildings that are currently there that are commercially zoned are, based upon what you just said, if I understand you correctly, that there is a potential for those commercially zoned buildings to come down and be modified in some way in order to meet this particular...
The entire site, the entire 10 acres, the 5 acres in the front, which has the old shopping center, and the 5 acres in the back, which are vacant, the entire tract is currently zone commercial. Gateway A is basically a mixed-use type commercial zone. Regardless of whether or not this amendment gets adopted, it's already zoned that way.
Okay.
So they could tomorrow come in and tear that building down, move it, leave it up, put different tenants in it. That's all available today. This amendment provides various other options for kind of mixing and matching what might go on the site.
Is there a potential in the future that, considering the Mount Laurel decision, that entire 10 acres could be rezoned for residential, and that you would therefore have more than 118 units? If I read the first page of this correctly, 24%, or roughly 29 of those 118 units must be low to moderate income housing?
Correct. That's the inclusionary portion of the amendment. This is an incentive to get the property redeveloped. But it doesn't mean the township is saying you can do anything you want. You can build those units, but 24% of them, because, and as you heard, everything we do these days has this sort of cloud, if you will, of affordable housing. All right, you can do the 118 units, but you have to give us back 24% of them have to be affordable.
Yeah.
B, you want to do that, you also have to give us 50,000 square feet of retail space.
Just so you know, I worked for Department of Community Affairs for 22 years in the Division of Housing. So I'm a little bit familiar with what has gone on with the Council of Affordable Housing on the Mount Laurel decision.
Right.
I'm also aware, as being a HUD comptroller for the rental assistance program, and we were the fourth largest one in the country, that some of those low to moderate income housing units could be occupied by Section 8 rental assistance clients. I have nothing against them. I was their fiscal advisor, so I know the quality of people that are there. But I'm just looking at this whole thing from a broad spectrum, the whole big picture. You've got other developments that I believe have been proposed, if what I read in the papers in the past couple of months, are going to be at the southern end of the Pete Biondi bypass and other locations, and they are also come under the umbrella of the Mount Laurel decisions. So,
Every development does.
right.
I mean,
And you
the
just
reality-
said something before, if I took my notes correctly, immunity agreement, your obligation for affordable housing units, that some of this is going to fall under that umbrella.
Certainly. Every development we have, every development that comes up has to have an affordable component to it.
I'm glad you said that.
Mr. Richards, one other thing, just so you know, Section 8 housing doesn't apply for affordable housing. Our rules, whatever number we get, Section 8 doesn't matter. They're not concerned about it when they tell you got to build
Yeah,
20,
I
you know,
confess
2,000
that I've
units.
been out of that business for 12 years, and I know from experience
Changed a lot.
that HUD changes the ground rules
Yes, they
based
do.
upon whatever Congress wants to do
Yep.
when they get around to it. And
You're
it
absolutely
comes
right.
up. But they did 5 changes while I was down there. They drove me nuts. So I think you've answered my questions. You got something you want to say? The what? Oh, thank you very much. Every development that comes in puts more concrete, and you have more runoff traps and everything. So I'm assuming that what they're basically saying is the concern about the trees and what have you, that we don't run into situations where we're having flooding problems in the future.
Yeah, so those issues all get dealt with at the site plan level. I mean, I certainly appreciate your concern, believe me. We know the high water tables that we have in Hillsborough, but that would really get dealt with at the site plan level. So what happens is, when someone actually comes in and wants to build on the site, they have to ensure that the runoff from the site is less than it in its current state. So they have to build a water plan that ensures that it's not running more water off of the site in the future than it does today.
The lower number of units in Brookside Square and all of Tall Oak area is at the lower portion
Right.
of Andrea. So that's where our concern.
Yep, and it's a fair one, but again, that has to get dealt with at the engineering level, and that has to go through DEP approvals, that has to go through, so those are all dealt with at the site plan.
That's so far in the future as
Yep.
far as this is concerned. You've
Correct.
answered my questions.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other questions, please come forward. You can tilt that down if it's easier.
No, she's obviously worked it.
Hi, I'm Juliet Strauss. I also live on Tall Oak Lane. I was concerned about traffic, and I'm sure this is also going to be part of the site plan and engineering, but as I'm looking at the map, I mean, I know that's just representative of what's there now. I know that intersection is going to be redesigned with the way the bypass is going to be, offloading into 206. So I'm looking at that and I'm really wondering what the traffic is going to be like coming out of our neighborhood and through the rest of the very high-density neighborhoods behind us, coming down through Andrea Avenue and then trying to go south on 206. First one. Second one is, as Richard said, the non-permeable layer going down and going into Royce Brook, all that stormwater. Because what I don't think he had a chance to say was, a lot of that stormwater, when it comes down to Royce Brook, the side of the brook is rather cliffed on the 206 side, and it gets very marshy over towards Tall Oak and Brookside. So you end up losing property. I mean, we can't let our kids walk down there because you literally sink into the mud.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to get worse. If we have development and there's more water going in there, then we're going to be losing property, and we're probably going to have some incursions into our basements, which is not so much fun.
So again, though, the way the state requirements and regulations are today is that they have to build detention plans so that the water is not running off at a more accelerated rate than it is today. They have to build the stormwater plan to alleviate that problem and lessen what is happening today.
Yeah,
So that means underground detention, that means flowing it in another direction, that means, creating certain berms and things along that keep water from running off. Whatever they have to do, that plan then has to be, but that's at the site level. Same thing with traffic. That's something, until we know what the actual plan is, you can't determine what the traffic plan would be.
Yeah, because what would be absolutely perfect would be to have somebody or watershed people come in and help us mitigate that part of Royce Brook, because there's shopping carts in there, there's garbage in there, there's appliances in there, there's all kinds of things people have just pitched and left. And if we could clean out the streams, they'd be able to handle more runoff,
Yeah.
because they're not catching all the plastics and everything that are trying to flow through that.
That's something we could certainly look at. We do get a number of clean corridors grants and other things that we can look at, so I'd be happy to take a look at figuring out how we can do
I pick up
that.
garbage every day with my dog, so I do that.
Thank you, yeah.
The third thing I had to do was school loads, because, Sunnymead would probably be the elementary school that would take in the elementary school children coming in from that new community. And Sunnymead's pretty small. I think it's the smallest elementary school that we have. So, once again, we have to look at school load. Of course, the other schools we're also kind of, straining at the seams, but as much as I want to see more affordable housing in Hillsborough, I'm kind of scared that we're starting
me
to
both.
lose. Well, no, it's just, I grew up in Tampa, Florida, in the scary parts, and I know it doesn't frighten me to have people who look different and speak differently.
No.
But what I'm saying is that we have to think about, with the loss of our funding for the school, and I've been in the Board of Education meetings, and you're right, we have to think about where all these kids are going to go to school and how we're going to keep up our standards for education and for taking care of the people who live here, and the new folks especially. So
It's a fair point, and it's something that, as part of those development plans, there has to be economic impact studies that have to go into the process. But certainly, the school challenge is one that will ultimately have to get dealt with. And the issue is bigger than just what we're dealing with, right? It's an across-the-state issue because of what all municipalities are going to have to deal with as it relates to their affordable housing obligation. So I share your concern. It's something that I wish we didn't have to do as much as we're going to be asked to do. But the reality is, we don't have a lot of choice in the matter. It's a mandate that we need to be compliant with. So we try to do it.
The famous unfunded mandates.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yes,
That's
absolutely.
why they're called fair share
Yep.
housing, when clearly
It's
they're
not
not
fair.
being fair at all.
And, feel free to head down to Trenton and tell them how, because we had a town hall last month on affordable housing, because we wanted the residents to understand what we're facing as a municipality in terms of the impact of the affordable housing obligations. And it's not a people issue, it's a reality of the number of units and the impact it has on all of those services, all of the amenities we have in town, school, fire, police, infrastructure, traffic, all of those things have to be considered when we're looking at these items. And fair share is, they're not as focused on that stuff as we have to be locally.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments?
Susan Gullah, Fort Hunt Club Road. There was some confusion in general about whether this zoning would allow for all new construction or the current buildings to remain or not remain. I understand either one is an option on the table. You're making it more flexible. One of my questions is, if this ordinance passes and a developer comes in with a proposal, they can still ask for variances from this ordinance, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. The community impact statement that was just discussed about the number of children in the schools, that came up at another meeting, and I'm not sure if I understood correctly. The community impact statement cannot be used to determine if you're going to pass a proposal or not. it's just a consideration, but it can't be voted, like you can't say, well, you want to have a development that's going to cause 50 children, but that's too many, so we redevelop it so there's only 40 or something. I mean,
You're correct.
okay.
It can't be a standalone reason, correct?
Okay, the 50,000 square feet of commercial space, how much is there now?
It's about that.
So it would be, they wouldn't be adding a lot of square, they're not like doubling their commercial buildings or something.
Well, that's up to them. That's a minimum 50,000.
Okay, so they could add on to it, but basically there's 50,000
Sure,
in
again,
there.
keep in mind, this is still the GA zone, so anything that GA zone permits, they can do on that property.
Okay. The tract requirement, on page 2, paragraph 4, the minimum tract size is 10 acres. The tract may be subdivided into no more than 2 lots. The numbers are getting smaller as the years pass, but if you add those two together, can you still subdivide that so that one is 10 acres and you would have a small unit in the back, or is this to encourage that the entire lot be left as
There's a
one?
difference between the tract size and the lot size.
Okay,
Okay, the tract is the entire tract. What this does is whoever comes in to develop this property has to start with the whole.
The whole.
Again, it's a way of ensuring that it's a mixed-use property. So it's tract size, but after the property is constructed, there are various financial reasons why some developers need to subdivide a piece of property for whatever reason, but the guts of the project have to be in place. You'd have to have the appropriate residential mix, you'd have to have the appropriate retail mix, and then if somebody wanted to, for whatever reason, request a subdivision, it's not automatic, the smallest they could go to is 5 acres.
okay, so we could end up with a subdivision like the one over at Valley Road, where he had a mixed use, Valley and 206, and then came in and asked for a subdivision that in effect put all his commercial in one lot and put all of his residential in a second lot.
I don't think
It's
they're
possible.
similar.
That
was a much more complicated development.
Okay, yes, it was. The building design on the drive-through restaurants, I'm not sure, I know you keep saying you want more flexibility, and it could be handled, a lot of it, by the Board of Adjustment, but it just seems as though we could tighten some of the requirements. You have all the way through F on page 3. I was wondering if it would be possible to add a paragraph G that addresses hours, lights, noise for a drive-through. You know what we went through with Sonic, where the people who lived behind it actually ended up hiring their own attorney. And the only reason it didn't pass at the end was a major wetlands problem that came up at the last half hour.
That's not the reason it didn't pass.
Well,
That's not the reason.
that was when it withdrew.
Yes, they withdrew.
Okay, I
Because
stand
they-
corrected.
yeah.
Withdrew.
Questions like lighting and hours of operation, good. Go back to the site plan process. Those are all questions that have to be taken into account in front of the planning board.
Okay, so there's just no way to tighten it up in the variance? That you can,
That's up to
legally,
the
that'll
township
stand a challenge?
I don't understand.
Well, it's not a legal question, but it's one of, at this point, it's depending upon the nature of what comes in is what gets determined at the site plan. Not, if you're going to allow that now, why restrict it with what your lighting hours may be if you have no idea what the type of business would be?
Well, it says restaurant. It almost makes it seem as though he's already got somebody lined up. When I kept reading it over and over, but then you said you're just trying to allow for flexibility.
I'm not aware of any ordinance that has written into it hours of operation.
Okay, it's just something
Anywhere.
that's negotiated through the planning process.
Correct. The board would take into account the type of business it is, the intensity of the business, and come up with,
Sure.
reasonable hours.
Okay, thank you.
Name and address for the record.
Yep, Leandra Kane, Meadowbrook Drive. So I'm kind of new here, I don't really know how all these things work, but
Okay.
one question is, once the planners start, will there be another public
Yeah, so,
thing about
so,
that?
so today, what we do is we set the ordinance that says this is what essentially is permissible there
Mm-hmm.
at a high level.
Okay.
And then when someone wants to actually develop the property and put a site plan, then it has to go through a hearing at the planning board to develop that site. So same thing, there's public notices that go out that say, this developer is, there's a site plan that's going to be discussed at the planning board. We have to notice within 200 feet of the property line, so you'll be aware of when that would happen if there was actually a development that was being placed on the property.
Okay,
But
because
it would be
if-
at this committee, it would be at planning
It
board.
would be at, right. So just because of where I live, which is on this side, right behind, like
Mhm.
right off of the T.
You would be noticed.
Right. Well, I didn't get a letter about this one, but just saying.
Okay.
So, just because I think that if you have especially a drive-through and all of that, people will end up cutting through right in front of my house because the traffic, they'll go that way to go to the light, to come out, unless there's a new traffic plan. But also, if there's 118 units, then that's essentially could be 200 more cars that need to park somewhere in an apartment kind of situation. So that's more non-permeable surface, causing more water, which I have lakefront property in my backyard anytime it rains for more than 10 minutes. So it's kind of a lot of things that we're kind of worried about just on our little circle there.
I can appreciate that.
I love the neighborhood. I would like to see that area redeveloped. I'm sad Cost Cutters is gone, but for the last however many years, it's kind of looks, not so great. But just all these other things to consider that
We
I would like
understand.
to come to the next. Okay. I'm done.
Yeah, so we'll make sure,
Yeah,
if
just
that,
because it's, I don't know what kind of traffic pattern you would have coming out of there.
it depends
with
on the
all-
development. It's
Yeah.
hard, we couldn't say the
I know.
traffic until we know what the development would
And I
actually
would
look
like
like.
to also mention that drive-through, I get to listen to McDonald's. I can hear people's orders from my house. And the garbage is picked up at 3:45 in the morning, every day. Very loud, so.
How is it smelling french fries all day, though?
All the time. It's bad when it's fish fillet, but french fries, makes me hungry. But anyway, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Yes.
Donna Marie Yost, 8 Meadowbrook Drive, in Country Club Homes. I'm number 61, so I'm going to be directly affected by probably, whoops, I guess I'm a lot taller than this is.
I can hear you.
I'm going to be affected by all the businesses. Can you see where I am?
Yeah,
It's-
right, mhm.
Not by the residential, but by the businesses. Okay, first of all, I don't know if any of you
What
remember.
businesses? I'm sorry, what businesses?
Well, right now, the businesses that will come in where Cost Cutters
If they come in,
was.
okay, not currently.
Right.
Okay.
I'm right there, and the laundromat was there. I've been there since '57, so I've been there for all the buildings that have been there. I was first, about 10 years ago or so, there was a meeting up here about making 206 a Main Street and a destination area. There were hundreds of people here for that meeting, and people yelled out because they said, we want this to be a destination area like Cape May. And everyone said, well, where is the ocean? Well, the waters are certainly getting bigger
I was gonna say, we got
around
lakefronts,
Hillsborough.
apparently.
We're becoming an island, but there aren't great beaches. And then, I don't know how long ago, but it was only the restaurant that was there and open at this time that I went to the planning board and to the owners of the little mini mall. Because the fencing that was back there was 6 feet tall, and it was broken, and people were passing through my property to get to the restaurant or whatever they wanted to get to over there. There were also some sightings that I didn't need to see from the restaurant workers who at the end of the day went out and did their business outside, looking at me and my dog, rather than inside. So they made sure that that stopped. And what I fought against, because I was going to pay for 8-foot fence by myself. And they said I could not because it's a 6-foot, you can only have a fence that's 6 foot. So I went and worked quite well with my one neighbor who would be very affected by what was going on, and the owner of the mall and I think it was the planning board. But I ended up getting permission to put up I ended up getting permission for them to put up an 8-foot fence along a small area. I think basically 61 and 60. It's behind 2 homes. Now I read in here that the fencing will only be able to be 6 foot. So I'm thinking, are you going to come along, is someone going to come along and tear down the 8-foot fencing and put up 6 foot?
No.
You don't think so? And if Hillsborough is wants to be a destination area, do we have to have more drive-throughs? I mean, 206 has so many drive-throughs.
Yeah, so part of what the ultimate plan is, and this is gateway, so this is not essentially what I'll call the downtown vision, but it's the entryway into that area, right? So there's still going to be some frontage of businesses and restaurants and, small retail establishments in that gateway area. But
why drive-throughs?
But the ultimate, well, I think it's
When
really,
we
again,
have so many.
it's a matter of allowing that property to have some flexibility into what they can ultimately bring onto the site, because we do allow it in some other areas in the gateway areas.
But we have so many drive-throughs. We already, in the gateway, have
do.
Burger King.
Right, but my point is, it's on some of the other lots, it's already permissible.
Pardon?
So on some of the other lots, it's already, or some of the other areas, it's already permissible. So this is just to kind of make it consistent and create a little more flexibility from that, from what's permissible there. That doesn't mean it has to be there, that doesn't mean there's ultimately going to be one.
All right.
It just allows that as a possibility.
Would it allow the possibility of a nice restaurant?
Of course.
Okay, so this just sort of points out more on the drive-through.
This just points out what's possible, not what's
possible.
required.
There could be
Correct.
other things that would be possible. So, okay.
Sure. So, and then, just to finish, as you enter from the gateway, really the sort of the center of town, right in and around where Amwell and 206 meet, will ultimately, the master plan vision, if you look at the planning board master plan, is really to create a bit of a downtown type area where.
Right.
But that's, the prerequisite for that is to have the bypass completed.
Right.
So that you don't have the same flow of traffic on the
Right.
current 206. It gets diverted, and now you have more of a retail environment on the current 206. That's all.
Right.
That's kind of the broad vision.
So then, residents like myself would be, we would be invited to come to the planning decision where we can raise these type of questions.
Always public. Yep, those are always public meetings.
Okay, good. It was funny because the postman came and made me sign for something from Hillsborough Township, and I said, uh-oh, this could only be bad news.
It wasn't your tax bill.
So I'm thinking, yeah, they're going to reappraise my house. And my girlfriend said, but you do have a large house. I said, well, I've had the same large house for 25 years, but my taxes aren't the same as they were 25 years ago, so I wouldn't open it.
Hopefully your value's not either, though.
Right.
Okay.
And so I was walking my dog just yesterday past my other friend's home, who was 2 doors down from me, and she said, oh, are you going to the meeting tomorrow night? And I said, well, what meeting? She said, well, didn't you get a notice from Hillsborough? I said, oh, it's about a meeting? Well, I think I can handle that, as long as it's not taxes.
So
Thank you very much.
we will notice you again. If that is your house, you will get noticed when there's a development coming.
Okay, thank you all very much.
One quick question. I just have one quick question for you. Do you miss Yeah, it's me. Hi. Do you miss Buxton's or Cost Cutters more?
Well, my sister had a ball hanging out at Buxton's.
Me too.
And I like the movie theater.
I miss Buxton's more. From one who's been here, Buxton's was it.
It was Buxton's, right?
It was Buxton's. I need an ice cream
Okay.
float right now.
Any other comments from the public on this application? Ordinance. Jeez, too much planning board stuff.
This comment section, right?
Meryl Bisberg, 4 Hickory Hill Road. I'm hearing comments about the drive-in or the possibility of a drive-through. And I understand that things are finalized in planning, but zoning is what gives us permission to do these things. And if a drive-through is not a good use on this property and needs not to be left to the developer to make that decision, but is a decision about the nature of our downtown, I don't know why we'd include it in this ordinance. This ordinance is just zoning for just this location. So I have to think the fact that the drive-through is in there is because there is some interest in doing it. I mean, otherwise, I don't think it would be there. So what I noticed last week is when Amwell Terrace was passed, Art Bernard, who is somebody from COA, and he comes to a lot of these testimonies during planning, specifically said that Amwell Terrace, which is not on 206, it's on Amwell Road, but close to our downtown, that application deserved to have exceptions because not only was it contributing to our affordable housing obligation, but it was also enhancing our downtown. So I don't see why a property that is on 206, that is very close to New Amwell Road and was, I think, originally part of the downtown plan, not maybe the core between Amwell and New Amwell, but just north of that, why that wouldn't also want to have some of the downtown features. And, we just passed.
It does.
Well, I think things like having all the parking in front, allowing a drive-through when you're trying to encourage biking and walking and you have housing right behind you and, residents behind you. I think these are some of the things that really need to be considered. So that's just some of my comment. I feel like we should be connecting the dots with these developments because they're passing at a really fast clip. So I'm encouraging us to do that.
It's been years since it's vacant. Everything's so fast to them.
Any other comments?
Donna Amundson, 12 Meadowbrook. This all is going to be in my backyard again, too, like the other Donna who just spoke. I have two questions. One, how did they come up with 118 units to go into something 3 stories tall? And why 3 stories tall? That seems to be a little bit oversized when you're paired next to a residential development that just has 1- and 2-story homes in it. I don't know whether it's an attempt to blend more in with your Brookside apartments and everything there, and I don't know whether they're more than 2 stories or not. I don't usually go back there. The other question I have is, there's nothing in there that says that you have to develop every inch of the land back there. Why can't a small park be put in some of that space? Does it have to be used for businesses and housing?
Well, at the end of the day, it's the owner still has property rights, right? So can they put a park there? Of course, but that's ultimately the landowner's decision,
But it doesn't sound like this is permitting something like that.
Well, we could permit it, we can't require it, is my point. So it's permissible, they could certainly create, especially if there's a residential development, have a small park for the residents that are there, but that would ultimately be part of the development. We couldn't mandate that a part of it be set aside for a park, because the land use law requires that, the developer has some rights as to what they want to do with their property.
Okay, and like what other people have commented, I think anything that is a drive-in restaurant is a very poor, drive-through restaurant is a very poor idea. I don't want to be going to bed at 12 o'clock at night and hearing somebody talk about French fries and smelling French fries and everything through my bedroom window.
Fair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, could I just add one comment? Based on the height requirement that you spoke about, I know you missed the meeting when we introduced this, but there was some discussion about making, some from the public wanting it to be 4 stories high. But to be clear, that this ordinance would reject that and keep it at a maximum of 3 stories. Again, they don't have to build it that high, but it would make it a maximum when some people want it to be up to upwards of 4. Yeah, even lower, I got you.
Any other public comment? Okay. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
I'm sorry.
Second.
Mayor, it's close and adopt.
Can I have a message, close and adopt ordinance 2019-10?
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Holmes?
No.
Committeeman Lapani?
Yes.
Committeewoman McQualley?
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor Delacroix?
Yes. We are going to move to resolutions. We have 10 resolutions on the agenda this evening. Does anyone on the dais wish to take any of the items separately on the agenda tonight? Okay, seeing none, a few items to note, actually one in particular. I'd like to just highlight resolution number 4. Annette Henderson has been waiting patiently through the meeting. We're going to move Annette, who's currently working in our recreation department as a part-time basis, to a full-time role, and we are glad she's willing to come on as a full-time employee. So with that, can I have a motion to approve the above resolutions?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor, before we go to roll call, I just want to, as I say, up here when we bring on internal employees, we're glad to have Annette started out in the administration office and then moved to various departments and then ending up in recreation. So we're glad to move her to full-time with the training, customer service. I think she's going to be a great addition full-time to the department. So we welcome her aboard full-time. She's an outstanding job. And I appreciate Mr. Wagner, Recreation Director, being here as well and supporting that.
And thank you for your family for being patient as well with you here today.
It's past some bedtimes.
Okay. I think we have a roll call and a second. Any other comments from the dais? Comments from the floor? Roll call, please.
Mayor.
Carol Bisberg, 4 Hickory Hill. This is for the whole consent agenda?
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to ask more information on the numbers 9 and 10, just a little more description of what they are. Declaring a need for affordable housing, it's what we've been talking about half the night, so I wasn't sure why this had to be restated. And then there's a mention of financial agreement, and I wanted to know what how much that encumbers us, the value of that financial agreement. Whether or not there was competitive bidding and what that agreement is about.
Would you like to answer?
Sure. Those two resolutions are linked. The so-called Sherman Tract, which you've heard about, and we have the redevelopment plan. A meeting or two ago, a group called RPM Developers were named the redeveloper for the site, which is according to the local redevelopment and housing law. Same group that constructed the Westering Place development on Amwell Road. As part of the process, there are certain agreements that have to be put into place. One of the financing mechanisms for the project will be tax credits from the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency. One of the things they require in the application is that the township, the municipality where it's passes a resolution of need saying, yes, there is a need for this affordable housing project. That's something they require in that application. The number 10, which is actually just the redeveloper agreement, not the financial agreement, the resolution just does the redeveloper agreement right now. Under the local redevelopment and housing law, in accordance with the redevelopment plan, you cannot develop in an area in need of redevelopment or rehabilitation without being named the redeveloper by the governing body, followed by a redeveloper agreement, which lays out all the parameters of who does what and timeframes and performance standards, et cetera. So that's what those are. Those are sort of the next steps as we move forward with the Sherman project.
So the redeveloper is RPM,
Yes.
but this is another company?
No, well, RPM is the parent company.
Okay.
Concord is the actual company. The actual company or entity that would build the apartments.
Did they have anything to do with the application process and screening people and all that?
They would be managing it, as with every other affordable housing project, some projects do their own screening, some go through our administrative agent. That can be worked out.
But it's still subject to the same requirements that
Yes.
are set by the county.
Same standards.
Okay. And then there's a tax benefit for them to doing this?
That's not on for tonight, but there would be a pilot agreement,
There will be
payment in lieu of
pilot
taxes,
agreement.
yes.
Okay.
This is a 100% affordable project, but.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Susan Gullah, Fort Hunt Club Road. I want to follow up on Ms. Bisberg's question. Since RPM is the developer and it's an area in need of redevelopment and this...
Rehabilitation.
Sorry. Is this financing, and they're also the same ones that did the one over near the high school, Westerling, I think they're calling it?
Right around the corner from here, yeah.
Is this going to, does what you're doing tonight include that 30-year tax? It's not, is it a pilot? It said another word.
No.
You just said no.
Not the 30 years
Not
that
yet,
they got in the
no.
other.
We don't, it's not on this agenda.
It's not in this part?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the floor? Okay. Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Holmes.
Yes.
Committeeman Lapani.
Yes?
Committeewoman McCauley.
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Yes, congratulations.
And Mayor Delcor.
On that, congratulations, yes. Okay. We're going to move on to claims list. Can I have a motion to approve claims list 2019-09?
So moved, Mayor.
Second?
Any comments from the dais? From the floor? Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Holmes.
Yes.
Committeeman Lapani.
Abstain?
Committeewoman McCauley.
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
And Mayor Delcor.
Yes, and this will conclude our regular meeting this evening. We do have an executive session. Ms. Borak, will you please read the executive session resolution?
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Committee is of the opinion that such circumstances exist. Now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Hillsborough and County of Somerset, State of New Jersey as follows. The public shall be excluded from the discussion of the hereinafter specified subject matter. Number 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as followed. Potential property litigation, 2233 Madison Street. The Township Committee may take official action on those items discussed in executive session. Prior to completion of the executive session, the minutes of those discussions shall be made available to the public as soon as the matters under discussion are no longer confidential or sensitive in nature. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Can I make that motion?
Motion, please.
Motion.
Second?
Committeewoman Holmes?
Yes.
Committeeman Lapani?
Yes.
Committeewoman McCauley?
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor Delcor.
Yes, thank you. Good night. We're going to move into executive session.